and welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this video, we're going to learn the 2 to 4 player game, Planet, designed by Urtis Salinkas and published by Blue Orange Games, who helped sponsor this video. Here, you'll hold an entire world in your hands, creating vast deserts, frosty glaciers, and growing forests, all in an effort to attract the greatest variety of life to your planet before your opponents do. So, join me at the table, and let's learn how to play. To set up, give each player one of these planet cores, and in this video, we'll set up a 2-player game, so we'll return these ones to the box. Next, shuffle and place face down all these continent tiles in a row of 10 stacks of 5 tiles each. These are the animal cards, and you're going to give them a shuffle, dealing 10 of them face up, placing the first one under the 3rd stack of tiles, and then lining the rest under each other stack to the right until you have 2 extras over here. Then deal 7 under this row, starting with the 6th stack and going right, and finally deal 3 more here. The rest of the animal cards you can then just return to the box. Next we have the natural habitats, which you'll shuffle, dealing 1 to each player. You can look at the one that you receive, but keep it a secret from the other players. Then have the youngest player take the first player token, or you can choose randomly. And that's the setup. In Planet, you'll be collecting these magnetic tiles and attaching them to your planet to create a variety of different landscapes which will attract certain species of animals. Attract enough of the right types of animals, and you'll win. The game is played over a series of 12 turns, and each of these stacks represents a turn of the game. Now, I know there's only 10 stacks here currently, but we'll be creating 2 new additional ones over here before the game is done, as you'll soon see. The first 2 turns are each made up of only 1 step, while these later turns are made up of 2. And starting here with the first turn, you'll perform the adding continent step by taking the first stack of 5 tiles. And spread them face up for everyone to see. Then the first player chooses any one of them to add to their planet core, with the other players doing the same thing in clockwise order. When you add a tile to your planet, you can place it on any empty space you like, and in any orientation. In future turns, when you add new tiles, they again can go into any empty space. They don't have to be placed adjacent to tiles that you had already added. And if you do decide to place them adjacent to each other, you don't have to match the sides with the other sides already on the planet. So I could have a glacier here, for example, up against a desert, and that's no problem. Once everyone has selected a tile, any remaining ones are set face down into the 11th spot on the continent row. The first player then passes the first player token to their left, and now you move to the second turn of the game, revealing the second stack of tiles. With players again, each taking one of them and attaching them to their planet, and again, any leftover tiles are then added to this stack here, until there's a total of 5 in this stack, and then any extras go into this space. In future turns, you'll continue to do this until there are 5 tiles in this stack as well. And then any additional tiles that are left over from that point on are just discarded to the box. From the 3rd step and onward, after performing the adding continent step, you'll now also perform the origin of life step by looking at the cards directly below the stack that you just revealed and collected from. Each of these will show an animal and a type of habitat that it wants to exist on. The player who best satisfies the requirement will then collect that animal. And there are 3 main types of cards, so let's look at each one and see how they work. When you see an arrangement like this, the animal wants to live on the planet that has the largest region of the bigger symbol shown, which also touches the type shown by the smaller symbol. To see how this works, let's look at this planet. Each triangle is known as an area. So here we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 desert areas, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 forest areas. A group of areas that share a full edge with other areas of the same type are known as a region. So here we have a region of desert. We also have a region here of forest. And this area here, even though it's just a single desert, is also known as its own region of desert. But it's separate from this one because it's not connected on a full side, only on a corner. Going back to this animal then, we can see that it wants to be on a planet with the biggest region of forest that also touches at least one area of water. Now, it doesn't matter how much water it touches or how big that water region is. What we really care about is the size of the forest region. So looking at this planet, it has a forest region of 1, 2, 3, 4 areas that also touches water. And this one has 1, 2, 3 forests that touch water. So this one best satisfies this animal's requirements. If you see this type of objective, it means that you have to have the largest region of this habitat that does not touch this type of landscape. So the largest glacier region that does not touch forest. Finally, this type of card requires the player to have the most separate regions of the type shown. In this case, you aren't looking for the largest single region of ocean spaces, but instead the most separate ocean regions, no matter their size. So for example, here we have a region of water, then there's a separate region of water right here, and on the other side of the planet, there's another region right here as well. So 3 separate regions. Whoever best satisfies the conditions of an objective card collects it and places it in front of themselves. And you will keep this even if another player later in the game better satisfies this condition. I should also mention players can freely look at other players' planets at any time during the game. And also, as you'll see, during later turns, there'll be 2 or even 3 animal cards which will be assessed separately. Also, if there's ever a tie between the players who are trying to satisfy the conditions of an animal, that card is not given to anyone, and instead it's placed under the next column, where it will then be checked again during the following Origins of Life step. It's even possible that a card will get bumped several times if players continue to tie for it. That said, now that you understand how turns go, you'll continue taking turns until you get to the end of this final stack. This will provide you with the final piece that will fill in the last space of your planet, and then these remaining pieces can just be returned to the box. At this time, if there are still animals here that have not yet found a home because players still tie for the regions they require, you'll follow a few more steps. First, if any of the cards require having the most of one type of region, like this one does, just return those cards to the box. They will not be given out. If cards show either of the other 2 requirements, then players will check to see if they have a second region that satisfies the conditions elsewhere on their planet. If only one player does, or if multiple players do, but one has the larger region, then they break the tie and take the animal. But if there's still a tie, check for a third region in the same way, and if there's still a tie, no one wins the card and it is also sent to the box. Once all of the animals have been awarded or discarded, each player then reveals their private objective card and checks to see if they scored any points from it. To do this, you'll count the number of areas you have anywhere on your planet that match the habitat shown here, so desert in this case. And some people might find it easier to keep track of how many areas they've counted by simply peeling the magnets off and counting them one at a time. Either way, in this case, if you have 12 or fewer desert areas, then you'll score no points from your private objective. But if you had 13 or 14, you'd score 2 points. If you had 15 or 16, you'd score 4, and so on. You also score 1 point per animal card you collected if their natural habitat, which is the color shown on the border of the card, matches the border color of your secret objective. And you score 2 points for each one you collected whose natural habitat is not the same as your objective card. Then the player with the most total points wins. And in the case of a tie, the tied player with the most animal cards wins. And if there's still a tie, the tied players share the victory. And that's how you play Planet. You'll also find 2 variants listed on the back of the rulebook, one for beginners or younger players, and another that will have you adding a mystery animal in each of the later rounds. But I'll leave those for you to discover on your own. Otherwise, if you have any questions about anything you saw here, feel free to put them in the comments below, and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. You'll also find forums for discussion, pictures, other videos, and lots more over on the games page at Board Game Geek, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like, subscribing, and clicking that little bell icon so you get a notification anytime we post a new video. But until next time, thanks for watching.